Well, hello there, and welcome to this episode of the Terri Cole Show. Today I'm going to be talking about the power of female friendships, which I guess applies to every friendship, but what I know about is female friendships. That's what I'm talking about. That we have lots of social science about the benefits of having good friends, but I hear from a lot of you that you're not sure when you're not a kid anymore, if you don't have young kids, how to find or make friends in adult life. And so that is what this entire episode is about. So before we get into it, I just want to say thank you for joining this YouTube channel. I love that you're here. Please make sure that you subscribe and hit the bell icon so that you get notified every time I roll out something new, which is every Tuesday. Thank you for all your comments. You know, I read them. Other people do Netflix. I do my YouTube comments. So thank you, thank you, thank you. All right, let's move it into today's episode. I just got back recently from a trip to Costa Rica with friends. And many of you know I've talked about my friends forever and ever on here since I've been doing this for 10 years. I have lots of friends, but I've had the same friends since the 70s. That's a long time, people. Yes. I've had the same group of girlfriends since I was young, 4 years old. And now we're all turning 62 this year. So that's a long time to be friends. And I think that I have in one way, I have a rare experience of having someone who's seen me grow up and then seen me in every aspect of my life change and grow, and kids and marriage and all the things. But I also have friends that I've made in adulthood that are just as important and that I'm absolutely committed and devoted to. So let's talk about how, as we age and grow, you know, a lot of times friendships change. So I feel grateful that I have the same friends, but I've also worked to have the same friends. And I think that a lot of times, because there's other friendships in my life that I've outgrown, and that happens too. So it's always good to have sort of reminders, because obviously I've done episodes on friendship before because it's such an important part of my own mental health. But I don't think that, you know, even when you have a great marriage, if you have a great relationship, if you're very close with your siblings, let's say, I don't think that's the same. Maybe the siblings are, but certainly a marriage is not the same. What I get from my girlfriends is very different than what I get from Vic, even though I value both of them so very much. But I think that me having close girlfriends makes my marriage healthier, because I don't look to Vic to fulfill all these things in my heart or all these needs that I have. And he's great at doing all the things he does, but he's also a very good sharer, which he knew he was going to have to be, because I said straight up in the beginning of the relationship, like, I love a lot of people. So if you're a possessive type person, I'm definitely not the person for you. And he's like, I'm not. I'm like, okay, good. Because with female friends, there's a different type of emotional support that we give each other. There was an article published in the New York Times website that said women feel that they can count on their friends to pull through for them no matter what they're struggling with in their lives. And I feel that way too. Whether it's giving advice, whether it's a shoulder to cry on, whether it's keeping secrets. Like, you know, we always say when I'm talking to my friends about something, we'll always say, this is in the vault, meaning don't tell anybody about it. And I feel comfortable that they won't. Boosting self-esteem. Being so proud, like having friends who are in your front row and cheering for you. So it's something that if you don't have close friends, I feel like you can. It's a skill, just like anything else. And so I don't know what story, if you don't have close friends, I'm not sure if you have a limiting story about yourself as to why, but by the end of this episode, and don't worry, I'll put all my ideas in a guide for you, terricole.com/guide. But let's talk a little bit about the beneficial effects of having close friends. So there are the emotional effects, but also there are physical effects, because when you feel understood, when you feel connected, I mean, what did that Harvard study I was just talking about tell us? That the quality of your relationships is the top predictor of the quality of a healthy and happy life. Like, that is irrefutable. That's an 85-year longitudinal study done by Harvard. So it's not just me saying this stuff is important. It's science backs what I'm saying about it. So the question is, and a lot of you are writing into me, and I know 3 people personally, that the current political climate, everything that happened from the pandemic on, had them lose friendships that were 30 years, 25 years, 15 years, one of them. So for you, has this current climate impacted your friendships? Because I feel like it was easier before. It was so divisive in the U.S., and especially in the U.S. I'm talking about, because I know I've got people from all over the world listening to this, but obviously we've been divisive here in the U.S. from the first term of Trump till now, and it just got worse and worse and worse as time went on, where there were so many families broken up over political differences. And so it can be differences on politics, health, social justice that can really cause tensions and even break up friendships and families. So I think that if you're someone who's reevaluated, right, who you want to align yourself with and distance yourself from people who don't think like you, because here's the thing, it has changed, right? It used to be, and I've barely ever talked about politics on here, because it used to be the regular amount of dysfunction until this last administration. And then it's just literally completely out of control. And I think that, you have to decide, is this a political thing or is this a moral thing? And, we make decisions from those places. But there are some people that I'll never have that conversation with, like extended family, where we have different politics. And I just say we will agree to disagree. And I'm not, having this conversation, basically, whether it's agreeing to disagree on politics, vaccines, whatever it is. And if someone is pushing the issue, you can simply say, I'm not talking about this with you, Uncle Bob. And if you keep insisting, I'll end the conversation, right? So we have a right to try to protect the relationship. But I think that what has shifted, that I've seen a lot in my Terri Cole membership, is that it has become a moral issue. And that is part of why a lot of people aren't able to let it go, is that it's become more of a moral issue rather than just a political issue. Only you know what the right answer is for you. So let's move it into, do you need to do a bit of an inventory? Because one thing that's really can be very painful in old friendships is that sometimes you outgrow friendships. And I just want to normalize that and say, like, it's okay. If you've grown, but your friend hasn't, you may not have anything in common anymore. What I find that a lot of people, if they stop drinking or stop doing drugs, they don't really want to hang out with the same people if those people are still drinking excessively and doing drugs, which to me makes perfect sense. Like, I understand. So I think that we have to give ourselves permission. You can do a little inventory of, like, even just asking one question. When the phone rings and it's this person, what is my internal dialogue, or what happens to me inside? Am I like, yay, right? Even if I don't pick up the phone, a lot of times, because my phone is always on silent, but I know exactly how I feel about who has called me. I know whether it's an obligatory conversation, whether it is a conversation I can't wait to have, that I have so many questions for them or what they've been doing, and you know that too. So I think that that's one question you can ask yourself, and you can also ask yourself, how do I feel after I have interacted with this person, right? Am I enlivened? Am I energized? Am I excited? Or am I drained? And I think that that's something that only you know how people affect you. But I think we have to give ourselves permission to grow and change, because we do. As human beings, whether we give ourselves permission to do it or not. Because some people, you'll just say, listen, it's okay if you decide you'll stay in a friendship because of the history that you've had. That's your choice. But be mindful. Make it be a conscious choice. Like, I'm doing this because of the history we have. And then have appropriate boundaries in place. The more you know yourself, right, the easier it is to have healthy boundaries in your friendships. And adult friendships, I just want to say this, they don't just automatically happen, right? They require intention and time and effort. So knowing yourself and how you feel and what you want and how you want to live, that helps you find the right people in your life. It's like your interests, your values, all of those things. And then you can figure out, where might I find like-minded folks, right? So let's, these are a few things you can ask yourself, and I'll include the questions in the guide. So when do I feel most like myself, right? So I like to work out. I like to hike. I like to walk. I like to jump on my trampoline. So for a long time before the pandemic, I met people at the gym. I had friends because we were all people who loved to take classes and do Zumba and do whatever. And so I had my gym friends, which was nice because most of my friends, my real friends, don't live where I live, So where do you feel most like yourself? That could, wherever that is, that could be a good place to meet people. Like, what brings you joy and fulfillment? It's funny, when we're younger, and for a lot of people, and I see this in my therapy practice, the things that used to bring them joy, so they'd go out late, go out to like a 9 p.m. dinner. Like, we make jokes now, me and my friends, how we just love a blue plate special, but it's true. And so the likelihood of me being friends with people and socializing with people who want to do a 9 p.m. dinner is 0, because I'm not doing a 9 p.m. dinner ever because I don't want to, right? And so you see that how you like to live brings you to people who live similar to you. So another thing is what excites you, right? What brings you inner peace? Another thing to think about is a lot of times if you were raising children and they're grown now, or mostly grown, let's say, you don't have those built in. And a lot of those mommy friendships will survive into real friendships, and a lot of them won't. But it was sort of an easy way to be aligned with other women in particular who are at a similar phase or stage of life as you are if you have children and you're raising kids together and they're like the kids are friends. So let's talk a little bit about other places or other ideas, right? There is meetup.com, I think it is, but it's like meetups in your area where you can see what local groups exist. So book clubs, could be a running club, a knitting group, a hiking group, a board game group, right? And if you're outgoing and you like to organize, you could start your own. But I have one of the members of my Terri Cole membership, which that's a great place to meet people, terricole.com/TCM, by the way. We meet every single week. But she was someone who was looking for female friendships. And so she went to a meetup group for single women and loved it. And went to a dinner, and there was, I think, 18 or 20 women. And 2 of them she stayed in touch with. And I think that is a good bang for your buck when you think about the effort that it takes to go to one dinner. If you walk away, even if it's because what she wanted is she wanted people to do things with. She's a very active person, and she just wanted someone to go hiking with, someone to take a walk in the park with, someone to, again, go to the library with, or whatever it is that she liked to do. So that's one good way, is checking out the meetup groups. Another thing is looking at Facebook and Reddit. So again, local groups. I love Reddit for everything, I have to say. There may be other women on there seeking friendships, right? Just like you are, and it might be nearby. Get involved if you are faithful or you're spiritual and that's something that is important to you. See if there are groups for that locally. There's also adult community classes, right? Sign up for a class that interests you. At the very least, you will be in the company of people who have similar interests to you. Another great way, and it's great because you're also helping other people, is to volunteer, right? If you like, let's say, gardening, you could join the community garden committee, let's say. But every local municipality, at least in the U.S., has things like this. Another great place to look is, those free community newspapers, to see what events are happening in your area. Listen to your local NPR station. And NPR.com almost will always have a page of local happenings, music, book signings, whatever it is. Attend something that sounds interesting to you, right? You can also host a bring a friend dinner party. So, and if it's for friends and not romance, because people do this a lot when people are looking to be partnered as well, they'll bring single friends. But I feel like you can do this just as effectively with friendships. Because I love to share my friends. Like I'm always introducing people that end up being friends on their own, which I love. And if you have a friend who's a natural connector, if it's not you, it may not be you, and that's okay. But if you have someone who is the natural connector, let them help you expand your social circle. Let them know you're open to doing things, because connectors thrive on bringing people together. I actually love connecting people. So whether it's through a casual, group outings or personal introductions, what I want to say about the need for good friends is that, especially in a time with a lot of unrest, we have a lot of political unrest, there's so much going on here, having friendships becomes a soft place to land in a hard world. I mean, and I think so is a good romantic relationship, hopefully that. But friends are different. Friends will listen to the same crap over and over and really try to help you figure it out. I don't want to talk to Vic about all the things that I talk to my girlfriends about all the time, and he wouldn't want me to. You can imagine how much I talk in my life, you guys. Think about how much I talk. Can you imagine if poor Vic were the only person who had to listen to me? Oh my God. I don't even know if we'd still be married. So for you, it's like, what do you need? What is missing in your life? I'm going to give you the inventory questions. I'll put in the guide. Because honestly, sometimes we need to clean house. And I don't mean that in like a cold-hearted way. I think it's truthful that you have to understand that you have a right. Who gets to be in the VIP section of your life must be your choice. It must be. Because if you don't make the choice mindfully, then lots of people will just walk into that VIP section and plop themselves down in a seat. And that VIP section is really for people who are filling up your bucket as you are filling up their bucket. I would love to know your thoughts. Where are you at in your adult life with your platonic friendships? And it could be male or female. Where do you need help? Was this helpful? I hope that it was. Are you willing to take any of the suggestions in today's episode and really do something different in your life to get what it is that you say you want? I think you are. I think you're ready. Let's focus on building beautiful, compassionate, mutual friendships. Everything you need to know about this episode of The Terri Cole Show is in the guide, terricole.com/guide. I hope you all have the most amazing week with meaningful connections. And as always, take care of you.